Mi window ni nso ni de ye nim se ebedru pempe so atayili ba zingri pe na aka ye TV ye kete bibia ye peche ye nya bebi mponda ndra guest house bia ye ma nti omumbo ya no mu yi bola ne na di problems ni na ba nti omumbo ya na bola ne nko.
We're here along the Odo River and the level of devastation is just as alarming. Behind me, you can see so much silt and debris, and the residents and traders here are complaining that they are yet to see the National Disaster Management Organization, that is NADMO, come here to their aid to help clear this area of the debris and the cars that have been stuck here as a result of the floods. And so they are appealing to the government to act now and fast, so that this flooding incident does not happen again in the eventuality of rain. Nura Mohammed, TV3 News, Accra.
Now away from the floods to some education-related stories, the Ghana Education Service, in collaboration with the Controller and Accountant General's Department, has suspended the salary of a teacher alleged to have engaged in a sexual relationship with a student at the Bole Senior High School. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor N.S. Davis, disclosed this at a news conference in Accra.
2 weeks ago, disturbing footage emerged showing a teacher of Bole Senior High School allegedly engaged in an intimate relationship with a student. The video sparked widespread public outrage, with education stakeholders, parents, and child rights advocates condemning the incident as a gross breach of professional ethics and a betrayal of the trust placed in teachers. In response, the Ghana Education Service swiftly suspended the teacher pending investigations. The service has not taken additional disciplinary step by working through the Controller and Accountant General's Department to suspend the teacher's salary. Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor N.S. Davis, says the decision reflects the service's commitment to upholding discipline and protecting students.
Yesterday his salary was stopped and we are depending on the police to apprehend him so that we take him through the process. We want to pursue legal action against the staff involved and also take him through our established processes, the code of conduct.
Professor Davis, however, revealed that the teacher has since gone into hiding, prompting the GES to collaborate with the Ghana Police Service to ensure his arrest and prosecution.
The information I have received so far suggests to me that the earlier video we saw might not be the only one. So we have reported the case to the police, and as I said, we are pursuing him. He is not somebody who has to be let loose because children are not safe around such a person.
Meanwhile, in another major development, the Director General disclosed that more than 50 teachers are said to be dismissed over their involvement in examination malpractice during the West African Senior High School certificate exams, WASSCE.
More than half a dozen cases. So now we are preparing to issue letters to those who were imprisoned, jailed, and so on and so forth.
Now, still on education, the Ministry of Education says it is intensifying efforts to improve learning outcomes across the country's basic education sector through targeted interventions and strategic partnership. Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Clement Apak, made these remarks while speaking at a stakeholder engagement in Accra.
The Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcomes Project, GALLOP, has played a significant role in advancing this vision. Through targeted interventions, GALLOP has strengthened school leadership, supported teachers, improved instructional practices, and enhanced learning outcomes, particularly in underserved communities such as my Bulsa South and in underserved schools. Building on these achievements, the National School Awards Gallup edition introduces a credible and transparent framework for recognizing schools that demonstrate measurable improvement and excellence. More importantly, this initiative is not merely about rewarding success. It is about creating a culture where continuous improvement is valued, where innovation is encouraged.
Now to some health-related stories. The onset of the rains and floods left behind stagnant water bodies, which becomes a breeding ground for mosquitoes. In a bid to prevent malaria infections during this season, thousands of children under 5 across the northern region are receiving seasonal life-saving malaria medication alongside the distribution of insecticide-treated nets in schools from today, July 2 to Sunday, July 5.
The Ghana Health Service reports that malaria prevalence has fallen from 27.5% in 2011 to 8.6% in 2022. Malaria deaths have dropped by more than 98% from over 3,200 in 2011 to just 52 recorded last year. The seasonal malaria chemo prevention campaign is reported to be playing a significant role as it progresses steadily, with the first phase already completed in the Upper East, Upper West, Northeast and Oti regions. The intervention targets children in the Savannah, Northern and Bono East regions who are aged 3 to 59 months and belongs to the group most vulnerable to severe malaria. The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Samuel Kaba Akoria, says the campaign has been strengthened this year through digital registration and enhanced safety monitoring.
We now look forward to start the Cycle 1 in the Northern, Savannah and Bono East regions from 2nd to 5th July 2026. We encourage all partners and caregivers of children aged 3 to 59 months to welcome our trained community health work volunteers into their homes and ensure that every eligible child receives the full course of treatment.
Dr. Samuel Kaba Akoria also highlighted the ongoing school-based distribution of insecticide-treated nets to pupils in classes 2 and 6, describing the program as a reliable way of extending protection to entire households.
In partnership with the Ghana Education Service, it ensures that every child, regardless of where they live, has the opportunity to sleep protected from malaria every single night. This approach increases ITN ownership in households, extending protection to the whole family under the roof.
Some 1.5 million children are targeted for the next phase of the campaign.
Now, the government of Ghana confirms and condemns the killing of a Ghanaian in South Africa due to xenophobic attacks and demonstrations in the country. And that's how we end News Morning here on TV3. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyonam Halika. Enjoy the rest of your day.
around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now.
And in the voice of our director, Harriet, it's another 6 o'clock. we're sitting here to go over the same issues over and over again. I am sorry, I'm going to be a bit emotional and sentimental this morning because I don't pay me okay. I am not okay. I'm not okay, first of all, because of what Senegal allowed Belgium to do to them last night. How can you be in a beautiful lead of 2-0 up until even the 80th minute and just allow the Belgians to take over? See, this song is saying, Obanyo fe, okay? So we're speaking to ourselves as Africans that we are capable, that we can do it. And in our local parlance, ye bet to me, yeah. Listen, when you take a good look at all the European teams, most of their top players are black people. They are not even Europeans, they are black people. So how come we, the black people ourselves, cannot be up and doing when it is necessary? I do not understand. Why are all the black people getting kicked out of the World Cup? Before we went to the World Cup, I told you that manager Gattuso of Italy said that bringing African countries into the World Cup was like creating difficulties and diluting the tournament. Are we trying to say that he was right? How are all the African teams getting kicked out? And it happened, was it Cote d'Ivoire as well? It happened with Cote d'Ivoire. They were in the lead and then all of a sudden, listen, I just hope that on Saturday into Sunday, we'll not go to church and instead of raising our hands in praise, we'll raise our hands in tears. Exactly. Because Black Stars have not done well by this nation. I'm very upset this morning. Not only by the performance of listen, I was here praising the teams from Africa that we've done well. For the first time in the World Cup, most of the teams have progressed to the round of 32, only to be kicked out. Come on, man. We can do way better. We can do better. And now I'm bringing it to Ghana. And that one, I wrote it down. And this morning, I want to read it out. $350 million, Beatrice. 5 years, 13 people dead, and several others missing from the flood from Sunday. Somewhere between a pandemic diversion, a Ministry of Finance cash freeze, underperforming contractors, and 17 assemblies pulling in different directions, Accra is still underwater. The question isn't whether Garrett was a good idea. It was a very good idea. The question is who is going to stand up and answer for why it is not working. You are going to do the big issue. You need to probe and ask all our guests this morning that what is going on. $350 million. And I'm upset this morning because I stayed up after the football match and did my research last night and realized that even out of the 350, we diverted 65 million. And I'm told you discussed it yesterday to COVID. Do you know how much we received for COVID? I sent you the details. Listen, we received an initial $300 million US, and later on we received $1 billion. I've sent all the facts to you this morning. Do the needful when it gets to the big issue because I'm livid. Please send us messages on Facebook. I'll read as many as I can this morning because this morning I am not okay. I am not okay. Well, is it a curse to be a black person? Is it a curse to be in Ghana? Like I don't Hi, Cookie, relax. No, I can't think far. I can't think far this morning. I can't think madness. And many people would say that, why is Cookie always emotional? But I think I have very valid points this morning. Are we supposed to be dying with floods in 2026? The entire country has been submerged. Why? And why are we so dirty? Why do we wait? And then when it's about to rain, we throw... Like, what is wrong with us? Did you see the La Boma beach? What is wrong with us as a people?
It's not just around the beach areas. It's also even within our communities. I can tell you that Tuesday, I was driving around from almost to the outskirts of Accra, and there were pockets of refuse almost everywhere.
Why?
Because people feel that when they put it on the road, it will just automatically
somebody's
disappear.
daddy, somebody's uncle, somebody's brother, somebody's breadwinner gone just like that because of floods in 2026. Whilst we have have Garrett, 350 million. Only 40% of the Odo has been dredged. Only 40%. And even that one, we cannot even account for it. Yes, it doesn't even look like anything has been done. Look at the number of cars that have just been washed away. People's luxury cars. A place like Chado. In recent times, when you say you live in Chado, it's supposed to be prestigious because it's a plush, posh place. But Chado is getting flooded. What I don't even understand is Tema. Tema is a very well-planned country from the Kwame Nkrumah days. For Tema to be flooding, let's get serious.
Just a rippling effect of what we haven't done in other parts of the country.
Let's get serious. Yeah. Let's get serious because I think we are not serious as a country. Let's get serious. Look how much we received for COVID-19. Look how much we received. And then finally, IMF topped it up with $1 billion US. Yeah. And we still diverted 65 million of that to add to COVID-19 from the Garrett project. Are we serious right now? From 2019 that it was launched. And what even takes me off, I'm sorry about my emotions this morning, but you see, it came with a warning system. The whole Garrett project was supposed to come with a flood warning system. Yeah. And the IMF and the World Bank said that system was up and running. How didn't we receive any alert? Ghana Meteorological Service did their best by sending us the forecast. All of us were aware. We read it here on TV3 Newday on the dashboard. Yeah. But how and why did we not get an alert that flood was
imminent?
Okay, you continue, please.
So we'll be looking into that on the big issue, but of course, also this morning, there are issues that we'll be looking at as well. So basically, that's what we've got for you. But of course, you can trust us that we'll bring you some other issues as well. We'll bring you sports. Cookie has already spoken about the Senegal
the sports and the
Belgium game. And so, yes, you want to stay glued to your TV set.
Oh, no, this morning we need answers. And the answers, we just don't need them from the NDC, not from just the MPP. Yeah. We need it from NDC as well because the accounts were frozen when NDC was in power. So NDC and NPP, in fact, everyone involved in this Garrett project needs to answer this morning. Yeah. Why is Accra and the entire nation still under floods this morning? We need serious answers to these questions that we are about to ask or we are asking this morning. Anyway, Ghana Meteorological Service has also sent another forecast, an 18-hour forecast this morning. We're about to go through it so you know exactly what to do with the rains this morning.
Exactly. But it looks like the rains are dwindling as compared to what we saw on Monday.
God has heard our prayer.
Yes,
but today we are supposed to receive more.
We are supposed to receive more because they said, yes, we had one Tuesday and then, Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday would have reduction and then it will pick up again from today. But it looks like we are getting less than 40%, actually less than 30% of rains across the country. So when it's time, we'll be going through the data for you to know what exactly is going to happen, just so you prepare well. If you're home or as you're out, you're careful where to go, where not to go. But of course, we'll have the former housing minister, Senso Boachi, joining us by video call to join in the conversation to answer some of the questions that a number of people, including yourself, asking. We'll have the regular panel as well. We'll have engineer Abdullahi Mahama also joining us. It's a packed panel today. We'll have Nadmo as well joining us, beyond the 13 who are dead. And last night, even in Ghana tonight, there were, fears that the numbers could still go up because they keep, retrieving dead bodies from mud and other places. And so, yes, we'll be going into all of that and try to get some a bit more answers.
Send your messages as well. We'll read them. Please make them short so that we can read as many as possible. And unfortunately, yesterday, Faisal Abdul Idris also brought us reports from the Volta region, which is also underwater. Many places in the Volta region, especially the Keta area, is underwater. Some buildings have collapsed as well. Yeah. So we'll have Faisal Abdul Idris on Zoom this morning after we take a look, at that report, and then we ask a few questions here and there to ascertain exactly what the situation is as at this morning. I am livid. I'm emotional because
Yeah.
we need answers. Ghana cannot continue like this. And it's all of us, all of us. I'm not taking anybody out. It's all of us. It's our attitude. It's the system. It's the political parties trying to politicize everything, even when the answers are glaring in the face. And then
Yeah.
and then we just get up and go. And then the dry season will come. Everybody is happy. Christmas comes. Everybody's chilling and stuff like that. June, July again the next year.
Yeah.
We are back to the same. My grandma would say the same adicroments.
Yes.
It has to stop.
Yeah.
It has to stop. Anyway, welcome to this morning.
And you're still here on Newday on TV3. This is this morning's segment, and we did tell you that we'll be bringing you update on the flooding situation, not just in Accra, but other parts of the country. And unfortunately, we've had Volta region also added to the areas being flooded, and we want to bring you the communities really which have been affected in the recent flooding. And so we have Sogakope, an area that I do not think will keep prior to the recent floodings. We're having flooding in this community. Aduto, also Fiaho, Sakome, Anglon, Afia, Denigba also affected Keta Township, and that's what we're mentioning to you earlier. Alakble and part of Georgia, also Tazewu, all these areas in the Volta region. Within the Anglogan district, Southton, Keta, Ketu South and Ketu North are all affected in the latest flooding. And so that's the situation in the Volta region. Just giving you really a perspective that beyond Accra, we're having Volta region as well getting affected in the flooding as well. Now, displaced households or missing and dead persons, and we're talking to you earlier about it as well. So far in the Ga East municipality, we have about 2,000 persons from 400 households who have been affected. I believe the Ga East area would include the Dome, would also have where we have the would also include where we have the Ghana Infectious Disease Center among some communities within that area. And I remember 3 days ago we had the Interior Minister tell us when he spoke in Parliament that about 7 people were missing. Now the numbers have dropped down from 7 to 6 missing individuals and 5 deaths. So that's the situation. In terms of Lejokuku, and Lejokuku, I believe, including the Teshi Nungwa areas, also there are about 1,200 persons from 240 households who have been displaced, and 1 person dead in that area. And also in the Ayawaso Central area, we have over 3,000 individuals, as you can see here, who have been displaced. And these individuals are coming from 605 households. And unfortunately, we have 3 deaths with 1 person missing, and that is within the Ayawaso Central area. In terms of Gas Central, you have over 1,000 individuals who have been displaced from their households, and that's exactly 1,811 363 households with no missing or dead person. So in the Ga Central area, we don't have any individual dead or a person missing. Fortunately, in the Ga West area, again, the numbers rise. You have 2,300 individuals who have been displaced. These are coming from 460 homes, and that is the situation in the Ga West area. For Ablekuma North, the numbers drop to 651 individuals displaced, and these persons are coming from over 100 homes, 131 households who have been affected, and yes, but no missing or dead person recorded as well in the Ablekuma North area. Ningo Pram, that's the Communications Minister's constituency, St. George. We have 1,377 persons who have been displaced, and of course, almost 300 households. These individuals are coming from almost 300 households, 276. And the Weja Gbawe area, that's an area that we had a lot of distress situations, and people, the roads were blocked, couldn't move in and out of the area. Now the data is telling us that we have 2,500 persons who have been displaced, and these are coming from 500 homes. So it means that the National Disaster Management Organization has a lot of work across the country, in Accra and beyond. Ga South Municipality, again, the numbers are still high, 2,100 individuals, and they are coming from 420 homes within the Ga South Municipality. Adentan, one of the areas equally affected in Monday's flooding. You have 1,850 persons who are currently facing challenges because of the heavy rains on Monday from 270 homes. And then Kole Klote, that is Zaneto Rollins's constituency.
Yeah.
And yes, you have 6,000. It looks like that's the highest so far in the numbers that we have.
Really hit.
Yes, 6. I think you have Dansoman, you have Kolebu area,
places,
all those places. And these are areas that are actually flood prone, some of, those places. So 6,500 individuals displaced, and they are coming from 1,300 homes. And so basically, this is the information you have. And like I said, it means that NADMO, I know that over the past few weeks, we've been talking about whether or not NADMO is even able to face this. And on agenda, I had the Greater Accra Regional Director for NADMO who said that it is overwhelming. And was even thankful that the president had activated a contingency fund and was still asking for benevolent organizations to come in to help. So it means that this is massive work before the National Disaster Management Organization in terms of meeting the needs of all of these people.
And they tell us that about 75,000 people and over have been displaced and affected by the floods. And I'm just thinking, so how's the disbursement of the 300 million that the president has asked the finance minister to release?
Actually, 350.
Now it's 350.
Based on what Mahama Ayariga said in Parliament.
So my question is it going to be the usual rice and oil that we would give to these people? Yesterday, one person, when I was watching the news, said, I need a mattress. But then I asked again, Unya mattress now, what better where are you putting the mattress? It's a lot of questions that a lot of people are asking this morning. The relief items we are talking about, if you give them rice and oil, remember when we had the flooding in the Volta region, those Mepe the spillage, right? It got to a point when people brought the rice and oil, they didn't want to take it because they're asking, if you're giving me rice and oil, where do you want me to cook the rice and oil? So I think that this time the attention must be turned differently. If you're bringing me rice and oil, then give me a place where I am camping, at least for the interim, so I will be able to cook the rice and oil. If you're bringing me mattresses, give me a place where I can put the mattress, because where I usually lay, I do not have that anymore.
I'm just hoping that the government representative who will be joining us, actually he's an NDC member, who will be joining us, will be able to give us some of these things that you're talking about, because out of the 350, 200 are supposed to go into relief items, and that's why we want to get to know what the specific relief items are, how they are going to distribute that, and then again 150 million will go into flood mitigation.
When I talk about it, some people are sitting on Facebook and saying, stop being emotional, stop being this, but if you understood exactly what it was, maybe if you were affected, you would be sounding differently this morning. But anyway, we don't want you to be affected. So this morning, together with the Ghana Meteorological Agency, they have put into a video what the forecast will be for today and the 18 hours that we have ahead of us. Let's take a look. When we come back, I'll read some of your messages. And that's today's weather update from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, and it's for the next 18 hours. But Beatrice is by the dashboard to take us through the details of the various cities we have here in our country. And I'm seeing 40% actually running through some 30%.
Exactly.
But what do you have?
Yes, so what you saw earlier in the video was more of the temperatures ranging between 25, you have also, and 26 actually, with the average being 24%. Right. Now, when we talk about the rains, I was saying earlier that they were actually less than 40%. They are still within the 40% range. And it looks like that is the situation across most parts of the country. When you come to, so in Aplao, Angloga, Accra, Kasua, Winneba, they all have 40%. We're expecting to have 40% of rain today.
But it says slight rain.
Yes, slight rain. Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And then you come to Winneba, actually Cape Coast 30%, Takoradi 30%, Axim 30%. Ho goes up to 40%. Koforidia is 60%, but you can understand Koforidua, eastern and western regions receive some of the most rains across the country, with western region of course being the highest, and so it's not surprising that you have Koforidua and Achimda, Kwewutafo all expecting to receive about 60% of rain. And I was talking about Takoradi and the western part of the country receiving most of rains in the country. You have Obuasi, you have Takwa, which is within the western part of the country, Sefi Bekwai, Ketekrachi. So Ketekrachi actually is about 30%. Atebubu will be about 60%, Edra 60%. So the understanding of this is that if it is 60%, then you should expect that the rains will come down and will come down very heavily. Kintampo is also going to be mostly cloudy, so a possibility of no rain in that part of the country. Goso 60%, Sunyang 60%, Techiman and Sampa all expecting to have about 60% of rain today. And again, like we did have on Tuesday, the Meteo Agency is asking, or actually warning us, that the state of the sea is going to be rough. So aside from Monday that we had it being dangerous, it looks like the rest of the days it has maintained this status of the sea being rough. But of course that still means that it's dangerous, and so don't play around that area. So basically that's what you should know about this. But really, to give you a summary of this, it's just saying that there's going to be slight to moderate rain, and with the numbers I've given you, that should be spread across the country.
Okay, thank you very much for the details. So this is what we're expecting today. For the most part, slight rain in most cities, but of course we also saw that in some other parts it's 60% chance of rain, and I pray that today we do not receive a lot of rain. Hopefully, we're just praying that God will have mercy on us. Let's go through some of the messages, or you have more for us, Beatrice?
Yes, there's more, and this is once again Aku weather. When you look at the entire map that you see on your screens right now, it looks like Ghana is very clear. But again, remember that you're talking about winds, you're talking about how all these things are playing out, and you go to Benin, which is on the eastern side of Ghana, they are going to experience some sort of dangerous rains. Look at that. It moves from green to yellow, getting into the dangerous area. And so within the Benin area, and of course it goes to Nigeria as well, because you have some states, Anambra State, Asaba, Onisha, all of that. So it's within the, as it were, the eastern parts of Ghana, our neighbors. You have Benin, you have Nigeria, and of course Togo as well. All these are going to be experiencing rains, and some of them will be very serious, as you can see in the colors giving us. But again, if you come to Ghana, it looks like it is very clear here. But of course, getting to the other side of it, La Côte d'Ivoire, you're also seeing that they are going to be experiencing some sort of rain. They also have that bit about danger involved in it. So basically, Ghana seems clear, but our neighbors will have to be preparing some serious rains and perhaps the rippling effect. Hopefully, they don't have as serious flooding as we did.
Yes, and just to buttress that point, I told you that on Sunday, Ghana is not the only country that experienced the flood. So Nigeria did, Togo did, Benin did, and Ghana as well. But we were the worst hit country, and hopefully we do not go through that again, because even though the flood waters have not receded yet, so we are hoping that we don't receive a lot more milliliters of rain, so we find ourselves wanting again. I'll read a few messages before we go to the Volta region to speak to Faisal Abdul Idrisu. Oscar Lee on Facebook says, "Good morning, Cookie. You're not being emotional, but the problem is that in this country, politicians do not go to prison because we have lawyers who will come out to defend thieves." I think I saw one from Ayurakwa Ayipe Richard, that says, to win the sanitation war, waste disposal should be free of charge to an approved point. Winning the sanitation war requires free and accessible waste disposal for all. And Try God, Walato says, my dear, even look at the number of donations that the churches and the companies and individuals gave to the MPP when COVID-19 came. Dirty politics is what is killing us as a country. The people are all mentally corrupt. Emilia Safo says the two parties, MPP and NDC, are destroying Ghana. USD 1 billion. Where is this money? Can't engineers and planners fix the drainage and sewage problem? Can't Zoom Lion engineers fix this? Ghanaians should throw away partisan politics and deal with the leaders because they do not care. All they care about is per diem, benefits, cars, and money. And Yusuf says, if Ghana is a serious country, NPP would be banned forever from political activities. They snatched power to only loot the state. But the NDC, but all the same, the NDC government, for not holding people accountable over what committed in the last regime is what is killing us. Okay. Until government appointees start getting executed for corruption charges, this corruption will never end. Autry Samuel says the greed of some of our so-called politicians in this country has been exposed. They don't care about the country. They only care about just winning elections. And this is very sad. Innocent people have just lost their lives, all because some devils in this country do not want the betterment of the country. Ebenezer Jati says it's only in Ghana when money is given to sanitation ministers, it's found in their rooms and nothing serious is done about it. Politicians rob the state, they walk free, and Ghanaians die because of their heartless deeds. Ghana deserves a military rule, not democracy. Ebenezer for Seshi, we also. Do you have messages?
Yes, a number of messages as well from those watching us this morning. This is coming from Landlord Bolga Dylan. Okay, he's just saying good morning to you, Beatrice and Cookie. Thank you very much. Good morning. Prince Henry Kofoidia says, good morning, Queen Beatrice. Anybody who will play politics with the recent flooding is an enemy to the state and the good people of the country. As much as we expect the government to fix things, we as citizens must also fix our attitude towards how we dispose our waste. God bless our homeland, Ghana. This is coming from Mr. Simon Yenwa in the Upper West region. Says, good morning, Beatrice and Cookie. Looting of garage funds in this country became free for all. And as long as we keep protecting looters, the whole of Accra will eventually get submerged. The sanitation minister under the Akufo-Addo regime is a case to point to. There's also one coming from Mr. Stephen Quinn, also in Wa as well. Says, good morning, Beatrice. The situation in Wa after the Monday rains. In the second picture, okay, so he sent some pictures and he says one of them in front of a radio station, mask please. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody has come to look at the situation. So he's saying there's a radio mask there and it's seriously flooded, and so authorities must get there. That is in Wa to look at the situation. And he says that, okay, so that's basically the point he's made. There is Abbas in offense, so says, good morning, Sister Beatrice and Cookie. It's time President Mahama and NDC took actions that would stop this flooding one time. Our so-called engineers have failed us. The only thing they know is taking money. The residents too should be responsible. And he is greeting some individuals. A Master Planner Junior Policy Analyst Kintampo says, the flood in Accra is not and cannot be all of us. It is the responsibility of those our taxpayers, our taxes go to. That is President Mahama and the NDC government. Okay, so that's Master Planner Junior. Kwamena Acidity Ahafwa Trenchia says, good morning, my ladies. This is not the first time Ghana has experienced a flooding situation. The NPP government could not solve the flooding situation through their tenure of office. They should give us a break. And he's also greeting some individuals. And Bolga D-Line now sends a message, says, it's only in Ghana that we make politics out of everything, including natural disasters. No matter how prepared Accra was, could not still manage the waters. And so thank you for sending in your messages. And
I have one or a few more. Patrick Agbogba says, good morning to both of you. Please, the only option and solution for the government is to do and is to stop this flooding is to move all the people to Dawa or Sege, build for them there and find a bus for them to work and the market. And that's what you think the solution is. All right, no problem at all. I have another one here from Master Plan. Did you read that one from Master Planner?
Yes.
Okay, so you've read that one.
Mustafa Lower Manya Krobo. Roland will say Mustafa. We cannot solve a problem with the same thinking we used when we created them by building anyhow. When everyone wants to build in the prime and industrial area of Accra, until we change our attitude, let's forget about imminent flooding. And this is also coming. Okay, so he's yet to send that message. But Sherry Giovanni is saying good morning to all of us. Thank you for your messages.
Speak Ruben says, this is Moben from Cape Coast. Watching dead bodies being retrieved is something we must be angry about. Can't we change our attitude? And that's what I've been talking about this morning. Kwamina Acidity says, good morning, ladies. Did you read that one?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you've read that one already.
And so you didn't, that's Alhaji Bini.
Did you read the one from Simon Yang?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
All right. Okay, so it means we've exhausted most of the messages this morning.
Good morning, Beatrice and Cookie. Watching you live from Savalugu, and he's greeting Shamima Muslim. Thank you for your messages. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we continue with the messages this morning. Okay, I've read that one from Ruben already. Rich Lamar says, good morning, Cookie. Please, the government is not to blame for the floods in Accra. We, the citizens, are the cause, because you will see elderly people dumping the refuse into gutters when it is raining. So if the citizens learn the proper way of dumping the refuse, it will not happen again. That's why they say if you throw a ball at the wall, it will definitely come back to you. And Humado Sichofe says, my heartfelt condolences go to the families who lost their loved ones and to everyone affected by the recent floods. May God grant them comfort and strength during this difficult time. What is the purpose of implementing the Garrett project if it cannot help protect lives and reduce the impact of flooding? Ghanaians deserve answers on how the project funds were used. If funds meant for these projects were mismanaged or diverted, those responsible must be held accountable. We also appeal to the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources and the relevant authorities to ensure that the Odo River is properly dredged to improve the drainage and help prevent future flooding. See my hometown, Alakple, popularly known as Alaska, the hidden city submerged under flood waters, was heartbreaking. Although the town's location between lagoons and close to the sea makes it naturally vulnerable to flooding, we must invest in lasting solutions that will better protect lives and property. Humado Suchope sent in that one. Alfred Ajido also says this is the right time to start demolishing those structures on waterways. If not, the sentiment will still be the same. All right. And okay.
So there are messages on YouTube
as well. Okay. Oh, please read them.
Stream.
Please read them.
This is from Stephen Techi. Says everything is on the government. Ghanaians should stop being careless, dumping refuse into gutters and building in wetlands, which lead to flooding. And Hadi says, seriously, our behavior is key, but we tend to deter government from taking appropriate measures with elections. You remember that's what President Mahama said, that when we start demolishing them, people start complaining.
Yeah, that's what we do as a people.
Yes, yes. And we say that the government doesn't care and the opponent also uses that.
And then we'll be pouring libation and then we'll be cursing governments as well.
And there's another message says politicians in Ghana always think about how to win or retain power. They are playing with our mind in the country, our mind, and pray that one day the youth in the country will rise for the country. And so yes, these are the messages of you watching us on YouTube. Now I can read the Sherry Giovanni message. It says, the MPP has the moral authority to comment about the flood. Under Akufo-Addo, we never had flood of this magnitude. Operation Clean Your Frontages was so helpful. So that's what he is claiming. But it's on record that 2024, 2025, we had some serious flooding as well. And we even had the former Works and Housing Minister talk about the fact that it was the most serious flooding we have seen, of course, until the latest one, which happened on the 29th of June, 2026.
Courage Kotuka says, good morning. The flooding situation in Fiaho is becoming too much. Every year, the town experiences flooding. They really need a lasting solution. That came from Courage Kotuka. Kelvin Ashong says, I pray this rainy season should not come with more disasters because honestly, Ghana is not ready. But why is the committee not investigating the GARID program? Monies were mismanaged. Well, that is why
somebody's making a point. Oh, please finish.
No, it's okay.
Somebody's making a point you made earlier on Monday about the need for us to collaborate with the bus stop boys to be able to deal with this mess. And he says, good morning, Queen Beatrice and Cookie. And that's coming from Elijah Akumteba, making the same point you made on Monday.
We've watched on as a country for individuals to contribute their little quota to the bus stop boys, and they started doing this all by themselves. They've gone around the city to show us where the problem is, where the loopholes are, and how we can solve them. But we all sat unconcerned until this problem started. And we've said it many times here that it cannot be solved only by individuals or only by government or only by bus stop boys and the few people we have who are really concerned. It is all of us, all 33 million. The same way we rally behind the Black Stars when it's time for football and we're all wearing our jerseys and making noise and all of that. Imagine we were all wearing sanitation t-shirts going around the city on Saturday to clean and to desilt our gutters. I don't think that we'll be having this much of a problem. Mind you, it's a natural disaster that happened. I mean, false much. You can't do anything about it. And Ghana is not the only country going through climate change because this year it looks like we have received more rain than we even did in 2025. And the rainy season is not even over. This year, Europe, the UK, many places are recording heat waves. And yesterday again, I saw on the internet that this July 4th weekend for the US, they are about to receive theirs, and alerts are going out and telling everybody that a heat wave is about to hit us. So everybody get ready and then run for cover or do the needful to make sure that you stay alive. Climate change is everywhere in the world. So we could not have prevented the rains from coming, but we could have done better as a country or as a people to have minimized the devastation or the impact that we are seeing. That's all we are saying. It does not take only one person. What happened to, was it the first Saturday or the last Saturday cleaning? Which one was it? First Saturday, last Saturday?
The first
it doesn't
Saturday
even matter.
Month,
but the communal cleaning that we used to do needs to come back. And you see your own fellow Ghanaian doing, you know, what's not needed. You go and talk to the person and the insults, they will rain on you. It's all of us.
And that's
we
why
need
the
to do
other
better
time,
as a people.
Somebody was saying that we should bring the town council system back because I
the
remember
tankas
when,
people.
Yes,
tankas.
I remember when I was a kid. Anytime your relatives heard that they were in somebody's house, they will go clean everything in the kitchen and everywhere that needs to be cleaned. But well,
we probably have to bring all these back for a better Ghana. Anyway, pack up your day. The Milky Way with a rich, smooth taste of Peck Milk Shortcake. It's available everywhere and in this country. Please buy for your friends and family. We'll see you when it's time for the big issue. We're just taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. And it's also time for you to make that move. It's time for cold Malta Guinness. These days, even if it's not cold, you still can drink it because the weather has been cold already. When the mind, body, and Malta Guinness unite, nothing is beyond your reach. Vim up your daily pursuits with a revitalizing taste of Malta Guinness packed with B vitamins. Charge forward towards your goals with each sip of its nourishing natural goodness. And now with a new look, remember to always look out for the proudly made in Ghana symbol on every bottle or can of Malta Guinness. Malta Guinness, we move. We're moving on to a little break. We come back with a big issue.
TV3, first in...
The world around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now.
And you're still here on Newday on TV3. Welcome to The Big Issue. My name is Beatrice Edu. This morning, we'll be looking at how much has been spent in flood mitigation projects or programs and how we should be accounting for them at this time when about 13 people have died, 6 people missing, and we understand that the numbers of casualties could be rising. And moving forward as a country, what we need to do to ensure that the right measures are put in place and the monies dedicated for these measures are used as they are expected to be used. So we'll be looking into that, and hopefully when we have time, we'll also be looking at a claim actually by some institutions that they are being targeted by the media. Hopefully when we have time, we'll look into that as well. But let me introduce my panel here this morning. I do have in the studio with me, just on my immediate right, Mr. Kwame Nkrumah Bocho. He's a private legal practitioner. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you once again for joining us.
Good morning, Esther.
I also have next to him Mr. Theophilus Jimega, actually opposite me, private legal practitioner and member of the governing NDC. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
An engineer?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm a water resources engineer, so.
That's great.
Yes,
thank you for joining us.
And good morning to you as well, and good morning to my brothers here.
Indeed. I also do have as well with us Mr. Richard Jemfi, NPP National Communications Team Member. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, Beatrice. Nice
and
seeing you.
Yes, hopefully we should be joined, and very shortly as well, by Francis Asen-Sobwache. He's a former Works and Housing Minister who should be joining us by video call for us to have a conversation, kind of really talk about his stewardship when he was the Minister for Works and Housing between 2021 until he handed over somewhere in February 2024 to Kojo Opon Kroma to take over the mantle, as it were. But let me bring you really some data, first of all, before we start the conversation about the CARET project, which has become a focus for conversation because of what has happened since Monday. And if we can display just that, the amount of monies received and how they were utilized. All right, and so as you're aware, the Garrett project, or you may be aware, the Garrett project was approved. The amount of $350 million approved in May 2019 was supposed to last for up until 2027, and there were 5 main pillars for the Garrett project: flood risk management, Odo Basin drainage, solid waste management, and flood early warning systems. Those were the main pillars for the Garrett project. And as I just said, the approved amount of money was $350 million. That was in 2019, $200 million original World Bank IDA credit. In 2020, emergency diversion for COVID response. That was $65 million based on the data from the IMF report. 2023, there was an additional financing of $150 million. In 2024, there was again approved by Parliament additional financing of $150 million. And we understand per the IMF, the World Bank data, that this project is to last until 2027. Now, per this same report that I'm referring to, about 137.66 million of the money has been disbursed, and yet we understand that just about 40% of particularly the Odo has been drained in terms of the drainage that is supposed to be happening, has been dredged, I beg your pardon, instead of the target percentage, as it were. Now 202.34 million not yet disbursed. That's about 60% of this. And again, per the reports that we have from the World Bank, 16 months no disbursement, and we understand that there was a freeze on the disbursement between particularly 2024 through to 2025, and it was just around March this year that we've had some monies which have been approved, and the report from the IMF indicates that there were some cappings and some constraints on it. Again, so that's what I just referred to: the Ministry of Finance fiscal controls, funding ceiling on project disbursements, 13.8 million sweep from designated account, and that's what I just said, that from March they seem to have brought that back on and paid contractors waiting, and slower civil works, drainage and dredging affected. So that's the information we have coming from the World Bank report based on what was giving us and what has been done so far. I want to start with you, Lawyer Jimega. If you look at the IMF report that I just referred to, it talks about a freeze between 2024 and 2025. You are also an engineer. Are you able to tell us why we had this problem, which obviously affected it? And the entire report talks about delays and overruns and how this negatively affected this project that is supposed to end in 2027.
Yeah, Beatrice, good morning to your viewers and wherever they find themselves. Beatrice, I think that there had been a sort of trend in this country, in fact, in the past administration, that when you cannot find where to put an expenditure, take it to COVID-19 expenditure. It is interesting, however, that over $60.8 million, the lion's share of all the disbursement, which is like 60% of the disbursement, was used for COVID-19 related spending. Which type of spending are we talking about? Is it the one they do to themselves, the one they use to cook rice and boil eggs? Is that what we are talking about? Then they also talk about 22.1 million went into training on this project. What type of training? Who were trained? Does it mean that we did not know what we needed the money for before we were going for the training? Look, I want to appeal to His Excellency the President that call for forensic audit into how the funds were disbursed and how they were utilized. That will bring a bit of sanity into this program. It is only interesting that they used largely 1.68 million for other costs, and which they attributed to buying vehicles. You see, the program has been failing for a while. It is not delay that is causing now. Now the new government wants to, as part of our reset, to focus on the purpose for which the monies are being secured for.
I asked you a specific
yes,
question
that's what I'm
about
saying.
2024.
Yes,
and
that's
if you
what
look
I'm
at
coming
page
to.
1, page 1, let me read that to you. Page 1 of the World Bank report, it says, although additional financing became effective in June 2024, the project has not received the necessary MOF authorization, that's Ministry of Finance, to disburse against the AF, requiring the PCU to continue financing eligible works under the original financing until Category 1 resources were depleted. And that ran from that up until 2025, when you were in government.
Yes, so as I was saying, for 2025, what the Ministry of Finance is doing as part of the research agenda is that every dollar that goes towards the project must be accounted for. So it is one that they want to ensure that lives are properly protected, communities benefit, and refocus what the money is supposed to be used for. That is all that the ministry is doing. So the ministry is not happy with how the monies were used in the past. The ministry is realigning the money to be used properly. And remember what the president just said recently about the disbursement and what it's supposed to be used for. So unlike the previous government where monies were used for COVID-19 related, buying equipment, training and other related, which we cannot see, the current administration says, hey, let us refocus the money back to what it's supposed to be used for. You see, these monies are just like, as one of your panelists said recently, that you don't go for it if they don't watch the progress of work. The money will be there, but if progress of work is stagnant, they don't release the extra money.
So the question really, the import of the question is, why should you putting in measures to ensure that the monies are used rightly delay an entire project to an extent that the agency that gave you the money is complaining about how that affected the project?
It is not a complaint. It is just to get value for money. And that has to be done. The agency should be complaining about how it was previously misused. That is the thing the agency should be concerned about. But currently, what we are trying to do is that refocus the usage of the money, make sure that every dollar is spent properly. Look, for the past 8 years that we've had until 2024, the question the agency should be asking between the period in 2024 until NDC came to government, what happened to the money? Why was the money not released? Why, even after Parliament has approved, the money was not released? It is because the way the money was being used was not the right way the money was being used. And we have all seen the devastating effect of how the money was used. That is basically it. So that is why I'm appealing to the president that, please, Mr. President, call for a forensic audit into how the monies are being disbursed and used. If we are able to do that, and we'll know who, look, maybe just to add a little bit of coloring to it, we have had a situation, I wish you have gotten Honorable Asenso Boachi.
He will be joining us very shortly.
Yes, we had a situation where they told us all that they were doing with the money. But look at what we have. Not even a storm drainage. Even the alert system, the early response system that they need to. Have you received any text message to say that there's flooding about to happen? No. Until this has happened, that all these things are coming up for us to know. So the Ministry of Finance is now refocusing, is saying that, hey, we are not delaying. We want to assure that every dollar that goes into the project is used for the purpose for which the dollar is being sourced for. Remember, it is not just a grant, it's a loan as well we are securing.
Mr. Jamfi, I want to come to you because, again, like I said, the money was approved in 2019. Primarily or largely under the MPP administration, and so far, per the information we have, the dredging of the Odo between Caprice and Kole Lagoon, one of the major interventions, is only a little over 40% complete. Let me remind us again of the 5 pillars for this Garrett project as spelled out by the IMF, by the World Bank. Drainage and flood risk management infrastructure. That's the first one. The second one is solid waste management. The third is improved urban upgrading and institutional coordination. The fourth, project management. And fifth, a contingent emergency response component, which is CERC. The problem being, or the question being asked is, you received all these monies, yet you diverted $65 million into COVID, in addition to the $1 billion received from the IMF, plus all the additional fundings, and yet we don't seem to have any evidence to support how you implemented this money.
Thank you, Brief, and I want to say good morning to our cherished viewers and my colleagues. And I want to also say you are looking very beautiful this morning.
Thank you.
It has become symptomatic when you are dealing with NDC that they will apportion blame to every person under the sun but them. My brother here is complaining and repeating the rhetoric that they did from 2022 up to date about COVID money.
You
Beatrice,
call
you
asking
mentioned,
for accountability as complaining and placing
I've
blame.
not even made a point yet. I am saying that in 2022 up till now, I am even surprised that my brother here is repeating that same rhetoric, that MPP mismanaged COVID funds. There's something we call pass major. And even during war times, you can agree, and governments have agreed, that this is enshrined in every public sector, that through pass major, you can divert funds intended for a particular project when there is an emergency. You cannot debate me that COVID was not an emergency. It was pandemic. So it was right. The right things were done for World Bank to approve that we should divert $65 million to address this issue. You say we mismanaged that money. 2024, the report from the country director of World Bank, let me get the name right, Pierre-Frank Laporte, go and check. They reported that they were fully satisfied with government of Ghana disbursement of that COVID money. If you have any issues, you've been in government for nearly 16 months. You are now calling for forensic audit. Let's be serious in this country. Number two, you are here telling me that the president has promised 300 million. Do you think Ghanaians do trust this president? When the atrocity happened, when young people, over 5,000 or 50,000 people converged to get into the military, 6 people died. It just came out yesterday from the floor of Parliament that even the monies that the president promised them has yet to be paid. So I am not surprised that the World Bank has come out, because what they started was that garnered money, 350 million, has been squandered by the New Patriot Party. This rhetoric, we left it to hover and hover and hover and hover until a couple of days that the World Bank itself has come out to disprove these assertions, that indeed the $350, we only received $127 million.
137.
At the time we were leaving, it was $127 million. 65 through pass major was diverted to COVID relief.
So the question being asked...
So I want to address his point before I move on. He is saying that MPP mismanaged the funds. And I'm saying that the World Bank has disproved this. So you better stop these lies before we move on. Now, because the money is not coming, World Bank has come out again that it is because of your own financial minister who is aspiring to be president, who is always obsessed with getting the papers right than the welfare of the people.
But the constraint was from June 2024.
Who supervises financial fiscal controls in this country?
I'm saying the constraint was from June 2024. That was before the elections. So what happened, let's say, even if we are holding Kasia Lato forcing for it, what happened between June 2024 and December 2024 when there was the election?
So, okay, between June 24 and December 2024, and between January 2025 till now, let's calculate the months. At least during our time, when the disbursement started, we can prove that we received roughly $137 million. What about them? So I am, my sister, I am really shocked, because when it comes to setting agenda for public discourse, it appears that this particular government have found the magic wand, because I cannot believe that we've lost 37 people, Ghanaians, through this flood tragedy. But instead of apportioning people accepting their responsibility, we are here trying to take our minds to MPP. Who is in government now? Let me tell you one of the reasons. We started desilting Odona. We started dredging Kole Lagoon. One of the fundamental reasons, and I think that TV3 should take it upon themselves to go to the AMA to find out whether since this NDC government took over, there's ever been dredging. My sister, I was with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia two days ago, where we visited these places. From eyewitness accounts, they are telling us that there have never been any dredging in the Odo since NDC came to power. Now, let me tell you what we did in the previous government. For between March and April, go and check the records. AMA made sure that they use March and April for just desilting the Odo.
Mr. Jenfi, I'm not sure you've answered the question. The question I've asked is that you received, the money was approved in 2019. Yes, let's assume that you received $127 million under your administration. Yes. And yet the report we have is just 40% of dredging of the Odo and the other areas that are supposed to be preventing floods. So why?
Why is that? Government is continuing. And you've already said that we received 40% of the total money. Within that 40% of the total money, the 40% is not supposed to complete the whole project. The whole project is supposed to be completed in 2027. So granted that even we had $350 million today, we wouldn't still have completed the project. So what I'm saying is that, and it is clear, there are some places that we started. The project cited Kaneshi First Light, Obechebi Lamte Interchange, Wager, Santa Maria, where I went to visit and see with my own eyes. We started the project. But clearly, from what you are saying, if 100% should be allocated to you and you only receive 40%, within the 40%, you use pass major to divert 65% to support COVID, then clearly, it is a no-brainer.
You don't think that if indeed the work was done at Kaneshi, like you talk about, Wager would have had, they experienced one of the worst floodings ever in
of
just
course
Monday's,
they should. Because if we use the whole Accra, we dredge the whole Accra, and you refuse to desilt, if you refuse to desilt, we will have flooding.
Are you not passing the blame again?
No, I am not passing. I am apportioning responsibility. Now, forget that I'm representing MPP, my sister. I am a citizen of this country whose heart is broken, whose heart is shattered. Because I've seen first-hand accounts when I visited these areas with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. My sister, people's homes are now rivers. Their markets are no more. Our children are wading in flood water to get to safety.
As a result of somebody not doing their work.
As a result of you not doing your work. Let me finish, please.
Okay.
Please.
Finish,
I am very passionate. I am very passionate of what I'm saying. Have you not seen the footage that children are being taken out from the flood water dead? That vulnerable people, adults, are being taken out from the water dead? Able-bodied people who are supposed to be the backbone of our economy being taken from the water dead.
Mr. Jenfi,
and we are here to take responsibility. It starts with the president. Beatrice, wait. The president first. I was in London. I was part of the people who were demonstrating against John Dramani Mahama just 2 months ago. The first thing, he blamed us. He blamed the people. That is because of our attitude. A couple of days ago, he blamed God because he said it is climate change.
I watched the president after his aerial tour. I don't remember him.
Oh, then you have to play back, because before he started his statement, he said it was due to climate change. But you see, we the citizens, we will take responsibility, because of course it is evidently clear that some people, they go and put rubbish, they dump rubbish when it is raining. It is also clear that the scientists have proven that ozone layer depletion is causing climate change. But let's address the big colored umbrella in this room.
Mr. Jenfi,
everybody is accepting responsibility apart from this NDC government.
You've spoken and you don't seem to have accepted responsibility that from 2019 to 2024, when you handed over to the NDC government, there seems to have been little done. Again, you justify the $65 million diversion of the Garrett money into COVID-19. Let me just remind you of the data regarding some of the monies that were received. 100 million initial package in April 2020. These were all for COVID. In 2020, including a 35 million emergency health response, plus, of course, the 65 million that you're talking about from Garrett. An additional $130 million approved in November 2020. So that's 100 in April, plus another 130 in November to scale up COVID mitigation and safely reopen the economy. Again, a further $200 million approved in July 2021, a year after, to procure COVID-19 vaccines. $1 billion approved on April 13, 2020 under IMF's program, totaling 1.3 COVID-related expenses. So when you say that the $65 million diversion from the Garrett Fund was justified, I still want to understand.
It was justified because at the time, from your own chronological report, the 65 came before the figures that you mentioned. And it has become a constant fundamental problem in this country that we know the cost of everything but the value. I wouldn't mind if we spend hundreds of billions of cedis to save lives, rather than what this government is doing, saving money, capping expenditure for 37 people to die. I would rather spend to save life. Yes, 37 people. And you know why I'm passionate about it? Just 2 days ago, we were in Nyasotium. We were told that the women's organizer for MPP in Nyasotium's house has been submerged by floodwater. So me and my colleague, we wanted to go and see him. On our way, there were 2 boys who were pumping water out of a house. They didn't know that there was an electrical problem. The 2 boys died in front of us. Young, able bodies. Go to Nyasotium, A-Lang, and go and find out. And we are talking, we want to blame MPP. Is MPP in power?
I will come back to you, and I'll come back to you. I need to speak to Mr. Senso Boache, who's joined us via video call. He's joining us briefly, and then I'll come back to the panel. And I know I haven't gotten your thought as well. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I hope you're doing well yourself.
Not too bad. Thank you very much.
Let's start from here. 2 weeks ago, when you addressed some local government representatives, you proudly talked about you, and when I say you, your government and ministry, because at the time you were the Minister for Works and Housing, you talked about spending 140 million cedis for the National Flood Control Program. You said the program was to improve the capacity of the drainage infrastructure. Is that what happened?
Well, I don't think I mentioned 140. What I mentioned was 540 as an investment and commitment. The National Flood Control Program is to help, first of all, to build new drains, to rehabilitate new damaged ones or weak ones, and also to embark on the sorting exercise, especially ahead of the rainy season. It started in 2018, and in 2018, government committed 200 million Ghana cedis. It continued, and in 2020, the government committed 250 million Ghana cedis. And in 2024, the government committed 90 million. There are a lot of places in Accra and Kumasi that were flooding years back. And as a result of these interventions under the National Flood Control Program, all these areas are not don't flood anymore.
So let me quote to you a story attributed to you, published on the website of the ministry that you occupied, Works and Housing, where, of course, this was a 5-year program, if I get it correctly, between 2018 and forward. And you addressed the press after you talked about spending the 450 million Ghana cedis. And you said that areas like Mamprobi, Katamanso, you mentioned Chado, Madina, Oblogo, you talked about Weja, Kaswa, Iron City, Obom, Ashaimon, among other communities, and you were proud to have said at that time, including Teshi Yomo Specs, Nungwa, that this project had helped deal with floods in these areas. And yet, We saw what happened on Monday, including Chado. So this data you gave us back when you talked about it doesn't seem to tally with what we are seeing now.
The program requires continuous action and investment. Drainage construction or drain construction says that when you build it to a point and you leave it, when there's water, especially heavy water, it will continue to flood. But if, for instance, this government had continued the program and continued to build from where we left off, it will have reduced significantly.
So you admit that if indeed we need to continue and we've already spent 450 million Ghana cedis, we wasted that money. It is a process
we had not spent. We said commitment, what government voted for. Some of the works, for instance, in 2024 are still ongoing. This happened when I actually left office in 2024, but works are still ongoing. And that's why I said commitment. It's not everything that has been spent.
Yes.
Government had spent this amount.
Admitting that not everything was spent, the one that was spent, that we didn't see results, it means that that money was wasted because we didn't see results in these areas you mentioned.
No. For all these years that we didn't experience this flooding. And I'm saying that it requires continuous investment. When you build it at a point, for instance, when the total stretch of the drain is, say, 40 kilometers, and you do up to, say, 20 kilometers or 18 kilometers, and the rest is not done, it's not completed, certainly it won't be robust enough to withstand heavy rains. So that's the situation. It doesn't mean it has been wasted. It means that we have to continue and complete it. And since this government came, they have not invested anything to complete it. And it is just an afterthought that yesterday or the day before, the president and his government came out to say that they are going to now invest 150 million to embark on flood control. It came as an afterthought. But if they have been in office for about 2 years now, and if they had invested from where we left off, things would have been completely different. And there are multiple of interventions. This is just the National Flood Control Program. There's also the GARI, which seeks to address the waste management and flooding challenges within the Odo Basin, which is very critical as far as Greater Accra is concerned. And it's also another form of intervention that many projects were being undertaken to deal with the flooding situation. If you understand the topography of Accra, I think that when the president spoke the last time, he actually brilliantly described the flooding challenges in Accra. And he said that Accra is a low-lying area, and that there is also, adjacent to Accra, is also the mountains, the Blue Mountains. And sometimes even when it rains in the mountains and doesn't rain in Accra, we see floods in Accra. This shows that we have to do something to deal with the water that is coming from the mountains. And that is why the government sought funding from the World Bank. In fact, this World Bank project was as a result of the June 3rd, 2015 disaster, which claimed over 150 lives. So when the research and the feasibility studies were done, it was advised through the research, the studies, that certain major interventions be done in order to address the flooding challenges within the Odo Basin. And that is why major interventions such as the construction of major big detention ponds. The idea is for the ponds to hold the water as they are coming from the mountains. And after the rains, then it will be released gradually so that it won't cause flooding. At the time that the Kufuor administration was leaving office, designs had been done, procurement had started for these interventions to be done, especially the detention pond. But unfortunately, we are told that we cannot continue that project because of fiscal measures. In fact, I did not have this information until the World Bank put out that information a couple of days ago. Apart from that, there's also performance-based dredging of the Odo which had commenced but has stalled because of lack of payment. There's also the Achimota Abofu Drain construction, which was awarded and handed over to the contractor. But unfortunately, because of non-payment, the contractor, I believe, is not on site. South Kaneshi Drain construction had been awarded and work had commenced, but as we speak, it has stalled since the new government came. Buzia Highway Drain, contract had been signed and site handed over to the contractor, but nobody is there at this time. And there are several of such projects. Nima Paloma Drain improvement works have been awarded, but it's stalled. Nothing is happening. So all these important drainage interventions were underway from procurement to the start of construction. But this government took over and nothing has been done. And how do you expect to deal with the flooding situation in Accra if interventions, solutions are being implemented and you've assumed office and you have found a way to stall the whole process? It won't solve the problem.
So the question I was asking earlier, and since you oversaw that ministry, was how come with the amount of money you received, yes, not the 100%, you still could dredge just 40% of the Odo? And also the World Bank report again talks about the freeze or the financial constraint, yes, from June 2024 up until March 2026 this year. And the question is, yes, I know that you handed over somewhere in February 2024, but from June up until the elections, what information have you gathered on why there was that financial constraint, although monies were released, to just continue with this project? And a bit about the 40%, why you could only do 40%.
The process were going on during the 2024. There are no indication that funds was an issue in 2024. But this one has nothing to do with government budget. And as long as you are following the timelines, the World Bank will provide the funds.
This is what the World Bank said. It said, effective June 2024, the project has not received the necessary Ministry of Finance authorization to disburse against the AF, requiring the PCU to continue. So that's what I'm referring to.
The government.
There was no authorization from the finance ministry. Yes, in June 2020.
I'm not privy to this part of the report. I will interrogate it. I'm not privy to this part of the report. What I know is what the World Bank said about what the present government has done because of the fiscal measures. I'm not privy to this report, and I will interrogate it when I get the report, the full report.
Mr. Sensubuache, I think the main question on the minds of many is that you could have done better with what you received at the time.
No, it's a process. To spend World Bank money, you have to go through a bureaucratic, cumbersome process. Because they want to make sure that you can't embezzle the funds, as it happened so many years ago with World Bank funds. So it is not an easy thing to spend World Bank money. So the time that I was in office, that was what we were going through, that process. By the time I was leaving the office and then people were leaving the office, we had gone through that cumbersome process for them to release the funds. And that is why the World Bank is actually disappointed for them to say that because of fiscal measures. That's why it is delayed. Because we had gone through those bureaucratic process.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you said again 2 weeks ago when you were addressing the individuals and the organization was that you felt that so many assemblies had allowed buildings on waterways. You complained about it. As the Minister for Works and Housing at the time, what did you do from stopping assemblies from giving approval for buildings on waterways? How many assemblies, for instance?
Maybe I have to give you some education. As the Minister for Works and Housing is not responsible for local government officials. He's the Minister of Local Government. But as Minister, I went round and I sent reports to the Ministry of Local Government to take action. In fact, at a point, President Kufuor himself issued a statement that all local government officials should make sure that all buildings on waterways should be demolished. So, and these constructions did not start under Kufuor or Mahama. It has been there over a period of time. And that is why, if you remember at the meeting, I said that there must be a call to action from that particular meeting we had 2 weeks ago. That if in the past, officials, planners, officials, and political actors at the district assemblies have embarked on this, action that has brought untold hardship to Ghanaians, it shouldn't mean we should continue. So there must be a call to action now. And I charge them to make sure that they don't allow buildings on waterways. And if already buildings are on waterways, they should take action to demolish them. Yeah. But that's not the responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the Minister for Western Housing to do that. So local government officials are under the Ministry of Local Government. And indeed, in our laws, the Local Government Act is clear, and who is responsible for planning in this country is the local government, is the highest planning authority. So you cannot blame this on the Minister for Works and Housing.
Your record to have said that we should not play politics with flooding, and even in the 2 weeks conversation that I talk about, you mentioned it again. Are you proud of the statement issued by the party you belong to about the flooding? And how, let me just read a bit of it to you, and it was signed by one of the executives of the party. It says, firstly, one of the paragraphs says, the obvious confusion under President Mahama's governance architecture is worrisome. Under this NDC reset government, flood management has been split between 2 ministers, the Ministry of Local Government, Works and Housing. And then the statement also goes on to say that it is our considered view that the NDC is not showing leadership. Indeed, the government is fiddling with public relations gimmicks while people suffer. Are you proud of this statement? Because you're on record to have said that you do not think that we should play politics with flooding. This statement seems to play politics with the flooding that we have on our hands now.
I still stand by my statement that we shouldn't politicize the issues of flooding. In fact, our 2028 presidential candidate of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, said it when I had opportunity to embark on a tour with him, that we shouldn't play politics with it. In my statement in Parliament 2 days ago, I indicated that floods do not discriminate between what political color that you wear. So I still stand by it. I believe that the statement that the NPP officials issued was in response to what President Mahama said when he was in opposition, whenever some flooding incidents occurred during the NPP administration, and he put the blame right on the political administration at the time, the presidency, that is the Akufo-Addo administration, had failed. And when Mahama, wait a minute, please, and when Mahama had the opportunity to be in office, and we have seen some of the worst form of flooding that did not happen under President Akufo-Addo, he then came to say that it's because of climate change and because of irresponsible irresponsibility on the part of the citizens. So I think the NPP's statement clearly is in response to what President Mahama said when he was in opposition and what he is saying now as president.
You don't think it politicized the issue like I've read portions to you?
No, it's actually saying that President Mahama is playing double standards. His words in opposition are totally different from his words in government, and therefore we shouldn't encourage that.
There are those, perhaps my last question to you, there are those who think that this entire project, we should have forensic audit into it, and those who are found to have really used the monies as they were not supposed to have used them should be made to face the law. How do you react to that?
I don't think anybody has embezzled funds on it. And if they have, NDC government, the new NDC government would have done investigations and taken action on it. If there's the need for forensic audit, why not? Nobody has done anything untoward. If there's the need for forensic audit, I'm for it, and I'll be available, just like my predecessors and successors who also came after me. Yeah, I assume this project at a point. I implemented it to a point, and my successor came and also implemented it to a point. We are ready to answer any questions. World Bank money, it will take a very stupid person to say that you want to steal World Bank money. Who will do that? And it's not even possible. Yeah.
And again, I know I said it was my last question, but just referring to one of the things you said about the need for us to have regulations and adherence to settlement planning schemes. What, for instance, have you got on your mind that you believe as a country? Because then I'm asking you a question as a citizen. We must implement as regards to dealing with this problem.
It's a whole problem we have in this country. I'm a development planner by profession, and I'm aware that for a building, for instance, to be erected, to be built, you have to go through two major stages. First, you have to apply for a development permit, and that development permit will give you the authorization to build in that particular area. Say, per the scheme of the place, they will tell you that this place you can build. Then once you get the development permit, you also go and apply for a building permit. There you have to send your designs to the assembly, and the architects will look at the design. And one of the very important factors is to make sure that your building has greenery in the design. There's something we call site coverage rule in architecture and planning, which means that a portion of your building design should be green. I mean, for plants and all that. But in Ghana today, especially in Accra, many people are building and every place is concrete. And when that happens, when it rains, it cannot percolate into the soil and therefore becomes running water. There are laws, the building code is clear, the planning regulation is clear. What we need to make sure is done is the enforcement. And I put that responsibility right at the hand of the administrators at the district assembly. I've said it many times, and even on the floor of parliament, that as a country, when we decided to go on the path of decentralization, we probably did not understand the enormity of the responsibility that we were placing in the hands of the district assembly officials. We have so much power to make sure that we live in an orderly manner, but many of them are not living up to expectation. And what is needed is the political will to shape them to action, to make sure that they do the right thing. And I believe that if we have that political will, for instance, there are several times that buildings are going to be demolished, and some, important, people in society intervene, and that political will will diminish, and people will not be able to, the official will not be able to demolish these buildings. So these are the kind of the social, problems that we face in our country. But it is important that we go strictly according to our settlement planning laws, without which we cannot live peacefully. And the future generation will not forgive us if we do not take action now.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you so much for joining us, the Honorable Francis Asen-Sobouachi, former Works and Housing Minister. Thank you for joining us and for speaking to us. You haven't had a first bite on this yet, so I want to give you the opportunity to do so.
Thank you, Beatrice, and my condolences to the grieving families. As you can see from our attire, I'm feeling very sad and angry at the moment. And my sympathies to all Ghanaians, because we are all affected by this flood. Yesterday, I attempted to go to the Winneba High Court, and it was terrible. I had to take a detour through Kaswa to come out of the Winneba roundabout through Swedru. And before you could get to the court, you couldn't. It wasn't possible. I had to go all that way and then turn back. I think what's happening, to be honest, as His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said, there's an aspect of an act of God. Because if you do the research, we are in a year that you call a major El Nino event. That means that there's extreme weather. In 2015 we had a major El Nino event. That is why we had the June 3rd floods. 1998 we had a major El Nino event. That is why we had flooding that year. However, it is no excuse. I think what is happening now is a case of contributory negligence between we, the citizenry, it hurts me to admit, and the NDC and the NPP. However, of those three, I would say that much of the blame should be put on the NDC, because they are the party in power. You understand me? You should always be prepared. You should come into power with a plan. Yes, the MPP may not have finished the draining projects. The Odo River is 40% dredged. However, if you look at the funds access from Garrett since NDC came to power, from my research, is $13.5 million, which is woefully inadequate. Because the
You mean since 2024 till now?
Yes, $13.5 million from my research. If you are going to talk about the freeze was due to the diversion for COVID. World Bank had some concerns, but we have to admit that Ghana managed COVID quite well. So I can't say whether not using that 65 million would have made a difference. However, we did manage COVID relatively well compared to other countries. And I say this with a heavy heart because I'm a socialist. So my ideology leans more towards the NDC, even though I'm not a member of the NDC. However, 16, how many months? I think 18 months in power. You should have had some plans in place. You should have pursued the World Bank funds, you see. And then when it comes to we, the citizenry, we are also not doing our bit. Sometimes, where I live now, when I moved there, we had flooding problems. And then we just did a simple gutter leading from our house outside into the main gutters. However, when we moved there, the gutters in the area were inadequate and we're having flooding problems. Ever since the gutters were fixed, we hadn't had even one issue of flooding. So this flooding affects my area at all. You understand me? Just simple gutters. And yet, there are houses in my neighborhood which are completely paved. And when it rained, those houses were flooded. So we, the citizenry, we have to use some common sense when we are building. And then I come to what I call the baby of Chairman Rawlings, because I think decentralization is one of the best things that have happened to this country. And it was championed by His Excellency, the late President Rawlings. You understand me? However, decentralization as it is being run now, it's not the best. Nobody is on the ground. They are just doing things anyhow. And it saddens me to say, maybe not all of them. Maybe not all of them. I do quite a few, let's say, land cases. So I know a bit about buildings and zoning and all that. And you go to some areas and the way buildings are springing up and there's no drainage. And you know that this is a recipe for disaster. So you agree with those who say that the district assemblies are not up and doing because they should be monitoring all of these? Exactly. So it's not only the top down that is a problem, but the bottom up also. I don't know what we can do about the district assembly, but something has to be done now. Because apparently this major El Nino is going to grow into a super El Nino from November 2026 to January 2027. So that means things are going to get worse.
Lawyer Jimega, I think you had some responses. You wanted to react to what Mr. Jemfi had, and also your reaction to what Mr. Senso-Boakye told us, the Honorable Senso-Boakye told us. He's
yes,
the MP for Bantama.
Yes, quick one. I mean, when we come here, we are educating as well, apart from the usual propaganda. I mean, nowhere has His Excellency the President blamed God for what has happened to Ghanaians. Nowhere. Let's get that clear. He's never blamed God for what has happened. Indeed, he's a very good Christian. I don't think he will do that. Now, today, we have a new word for COVID-19, force majeure. That is a new word for COVID-19. So we are going to have another situation where
they can explain to you if you don't understand.
Yes.
Please allow him to make his point. I'll come to you.
With all respect to you, that's so rude for you to say if I don't understand force majeure. I'm a lawyer myself too. So don't use words like that. That if I don't understand force majeure, I understand force majeure. But you see, you ask Honorable Senso-Boakye a question which he dodged. My colleague here dodged it. Honorable Senso-Boakye says that he's not had access to the same report.
The June constraint.
Yeah, you never answered it. No, you never answered it. Now, then Honorable Senso-Boakye says he has not seen that part of the report. You see, with all due deference to my senior Bochio, yes, we all need to take a bit of responsibility for what has happened. It is not only NDC that has to be responsible for what has happened. But if the fundamentals were done properly, the work was done earlier, we wouldn't be where we are. Yes, Honorable Asensu Buachi talks about the fact that part of the work was done. But we cannot even see what work was done. That is the worry. We cannot take them out now, let them show us what was done out of the money. Now, he mentioned the fact that they went out with Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. I wish he would go back and watch videos of how people respond to his coming out, how people interacted with him, knowing very well that he had just exited the seat of government. So it is not now for you to bring it. We have all seen it. But you ask a very simple question about the politicization. You see, look at the demeanor and presentation of all NDC communicators, ministers, the president. We all refrain from politicization until they politicize it. And they cannot politicize it and will allow it to live to be like that.
He said the statement issued by the MPP wasn't politicized.
You ask him,
you
ask him 3 times differently the same question because you understood that it was politicized statement. Secondly, how come that almost everybody is calling Honorable Asensu Buachi? And they are not calling the current people now. Because everybody realized that the work was not done properly before they hesitated.
But you remember that in May 2024, the current president also criticized the government for not addressing the flood issues after being in power for 8 years.
Yes, he has to. He has cause to criticize them. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. But let me correct something quickly. For 2026, 2027, the Ministry of Finance has approved an equivalent of $76 million for this project. And you heard him saying that commitment is not the release of money. He said it several times, that when they say they were committed, they have committed so much amount, it doesn't mean they've released the amount of money. But let's take a step back. He mentioned something very important about the way our buildings are done. And I was here to say it, that if every house, let's assume that we have 1,000 houses, all cemented, all tiled properly, and each of those 1,000 houses is supposed to receive a tank of water. That will be 1,000 tanks of water that will fall into the street. So sometimes everybody needs to take responsibility as well to how we are building. Now, finally, he mentioned something that the project was supposed to build new drains, rehabilitate old ones, and desilt the drains. With all due deference to him, how many new drains have been built? We can't point at any. Those culverts that are being built with new roads. Watch the Hacho Atomic Road. The culvert is this small. In 2024, 2026, when we are experiencing greater population, when we are experiencing greater rainfall as a result of all this climate change, etc., we are talking about. So no new drains have been built. He couldn't point at one. That is not the, but we were able to, Senior, with all respect to you, let's do it nicely. We couldn't. Now, he said to rehabilitate the old ones. Which old ones were rehabilitated? None. That is the more reason why, and he challenged the president, and I agree, that if somebody has done something wrong, the current government should be able to investigate and go after the persons. And that is why I'm calling on the president again, that it will be very good, and history will judge him fairly if there will be an audit into how these monies were disbursed and used properly or otherwise.
Again, we're going to be spending a lot more money. The majority leader, Mahama Yariga, was on the floor of Parliament shortly after the Monday flooding and said that Parliament had approved 350 million Ghana cedis for flood response following the rains. Now, there was a breakdown of it. He said 200 million Ghana cedis will be used to procure relief items, while 150 million Ghana cedis has been earmarked for flood mitigation in coastal communities. What information have you gathered on what kind of relief items in the first place are going to be procured for the victims with this 200 million Ghana cedis? And when we talk about flood mitigation in coastal communities with the 150 million Ghana cedis, what exactly is going to be done?
You are aware that there have been a number of communities, particularly along the eastern coast, towards the Volta, Aplao, to south, particularly Pram, Ningo area, that had been complaining about the tidal waves cutting them out of dividing the towns, just to say so. and it is important that those ones are addressed for immediate remedial systems to push the flood waters away. Now, for the 200 million relief items you are asking for, there are so many people with very varied needs. Currently, there are some that their houses have been totally flooded. They don't even have mattresses to sleep on. They don't even have water to drink. A lot of things are needed at this particular stage. And NADBO is on top of things. Their hotlines are working. They are manning the lines and working well. So to just give a blanket to say the 200 million will go into A, B, C, that would be far-fetched. But I think that NADMO will manage this very well. Then those in Blekusu, those in Honorable Sam John's constituency, those in Honorable Gomashi's constituency, that the tidal wave has been worrying. Those are the ones that the government has approved, the 150 million. Remember there was a time...
What is it for sea defense wall?
Yes,
or what exactly?
Yes, the sea defense wall. Then there's also the need to get relief for the residents in those areas. Remember there was a time Mr. Ibrahim Mahama donated some relief items to the residents along those areas. Yes, something like we cannot continue to rely on the philanthropy of somebody else. The government also needs to step in.
But so, when there was serious flooding recently, Jifa Ablan Gomashi, her constituency was equally affected. And we had the conversations about the need to build sea defense wall. Are we trying to say that all that time it was just talk? It is now that we want to release money for it?
No, it is not. If you notice, the sea defense wall has several phases. Some had been done already. I believe when you Google, you see the work that had been done already in the sea defense wall. But there needs, if you look at the budget as well, there has been allocation of funds for the sea defense wall to be done. And this doesn't wake up. You don't wake up like the way you go and build house and just begin to build the following morning. So it has not been all talk and nothing. There has been work being ongoing slightly, and this will only sort of support and improve what has been done already.
Mr. Jemfi wanted to react to some of the comments.
My brother is speaking as if Ghana started in 2017. And he keeps repeating the same rhetoric. You didn't do anything, you didn't do anything, you didn't do anything. In fact, Ghana is nearly 70 years old. My brother, thanks to your party, you gave us the independence. But out of the 70 years, PNDC and DC have ruled nearly 30 years of it. Ghana didn't start 2017.
Do we need that now?
Well, I'm responding to him. We need to detach ourselves from that drama and that thing that you've created, that bubble that you guys are living in. In 2016 May, you remember Accra Sanitary Sewer and Stormwater Drainage Alleviation Project? You signed that contract May 2016, 2 years, to dredge and do some civil engineering works. And you tout yourself as an engineer. I'm also an engineer. I work in the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers at the British Army for years. I know this. I just don't have to come here and tout my credentials. That is not the point. It took a Kufuado, please. It took,
I think
please,
when you are personalizing
don't
discussion,
do that. I am not.
Allow him to make his point.
Allow me.
I tout myself. He keeps personalizing and
I
being
am
rude.
not.
You shouldn't be that way. Then you go back and say that it's on a lighter note. Don't do that.
Please allow him to make his point. I'll come to you to
Yes, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
So can I continue?
Go ahead. I'll come to you for you to respond.
So you initiated this project, signed contract, but you couldn't pay the contractor. Check it. It took a Kufuado to renegotiate and start that in 2019 to dredge and desal Odo River. We've been doing that, and I'm telling you, the main crux of this problem is that even yesterday, your Minister for Works and Housing at the floor of Parliament accepted that many of the contracts given to people who are supposed to be dredging, including Zoom Lion, for all his sins, you cannot discuss the problems that we are facing today without mentioning Zoom Lion. Because when you cancel the Zoom Lion contract, there was no alternative contractor to go and desal our waters. And today you sit here, want to lump all the blames on past governments. Let's be serious. The drainage construction at Kaneshi First, like that I said earlier, the National Flood Control Program, everywhere we've been, the people are telling you that since we kicked MPP out of power, you have not been dredging the water. And it is clear from what the president said that low lands like Car Price, Aveno, Abobloshi to Accra Interchange, they are, even when it rains in the Kuapim in the eastern region, we get floods there. So what did we do? We were dredging because all these waters are coming with high full speed pressure. We only have Kole Lagoon to hold this massive quantity then to the sea. Geological engineers have told us that the basin for Kole Lagoon is too shallow, so you have to continuously be dredging and desilting. We can make the whole Accra to be dredge channels, but if we don't continue to periodically desilt and dredge these things, we will be flooding. That is what I am trying to point to my brother here. Now, today, what we need to address, my sister, it's not looking back. We are moving forward. If you go to Kaneshi, Adabraka, Oyorefa, and all those places, my people have lost in just hours what took them years to build.
But
and
that's
so,
what
and
I
so,
asked
and so they are cried today.
But that's what I asked the minister, who said they committed 450 million Ghana cedis to, and he said that, well, they did what they had to do, but they had to continue. What is the point? What is the point people are saying that
the point
there should
people are
be
saying,
at least a level of acceptance of responsibility?
Absolutely.
From your side?
Yes, we did some. Government is continue. You have to come and continue. What the people are saying is that, Mr. President, enough of the blame game. Mr. Ministers, stop the turf war. MMDCs, please act now. Please, we are begging you, act like our lives depend on it. Because yes, they do. Enforce the building laws. Protect our waterways. Protect our wetlands like they were designed to save us. Is this a difficult ask? You asked me about the things that we do. Let me tell you, if you don't know. You said we asked Honorable Asenso Boache, although he brilliantly enumerated the things that we did with that 40%, you said you didn't hear it. Let me repeat it for you. Achimota Abofu drainage, and this is a report from the World Bank, by 2024, because they had to come and inspect what you've done before the money could be released. And that is why we are satisfied by the country director that the monies that we've used, they are really satisfied with that.
So let's talk about, for instance, Cecilia Dapa, Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, who was tasked to ensure that Accra became the cleanest city in Africa, the vision as outlined by former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And the fact that there was supposed to be the Gamma Project, Waste to Wealth, and she also advocated, this one, the war on Galamsey, among others. You just said that government is continuous. So what would you say was achieved with all of these that this government is supposed to continue for the betterment of Ghanaians?
So this is from World Bank report, December 2024. Contract signed for performance-based dredging of the Odor. Dredging commenced February 2024.
Is that an answer to this question?
The status, Beatrice, people have died. People are looking for solutions today. You are asking me of Cecilia Dapa.
Because my brother you made a point about
my
government
brother here
being
has
continuous.
made a point that we didn't do anything. Let me address that. I will come to Cecilia Dapa. The reason why that contract has been stalled, according to World Bank, is saying that slow payment of IPC. Who's supposed to make the payments? The second one, Achimota Abofu drainage. This is the report. Contract signed and site handed over in March 2024. Same issue, non-payment of IPC. South Kaneshi drain construction. Contract signed in July 2024, ongoing but slow because of payment of IPC. Construction of Dr. Buzia Highway drain. The contract was signed in July 2024. They're currently on hold. And yesterday, your Minister for Works and Housing went on the plenary in Parliament to agree and actually accept that when they came, according to them, some of the contractors were not doing the work right, so they've cancelled all of it. So if it for 18 months, you've cancelled all contracts for dredging and desilting, what did you expect? And when I said that President John Dramani Mahama blamed God, I repeat it because he is blaming climate change for his inefficiency, his incompetence in dealing with this. And to add insult to injury, they were dancing, wearing white cloth yesterday. That and I pray, Beatrice, I thank God that COVID pandemic never hit when President Mahama was the president. We would have all been dead.
Why are you criticizing the National Day of Thanksgiving and Prayer?
When 7 ministers, government officials, made their soul rest in perfect peace, and this is by no means to mock or ridicule their death. I so respect them. But when they died, we declared nearly 7 days of mourning in this country. 37 people have died in this country. And what did the president do? Singing, there will be showers of blessings. Showers of blessings. Are we serious in this country? People have died, and you are singing showers of blessings. If there is any fiber of shame in this government, they would have declared a state of emergency or a national day of mourning to pray to God. Because what is happening, you said it was spiritual. Somebody said it was spiritual here. Was it no. A bit of spiritual? So what I'm saying is that even if we are going down tangent, that you mentioned that in 1998 something happened.
No, I said a major El Nino event. It's a weather phenomenon.
Yes.
So I said, well, an act of God.
Yes, that is what you said.
In legal terms. Illegal terms.
That's the same force majeure that I didn't understand.
Yes. So if it's an act of God,
I want you to land and then I'll come to you.
If it is an act of God,
but it's not in spiritual terms.
I know.
In nature.
I know. What the president and this NDC sold to us, they created an impression that they were going to replace God because they had solutions to everything in this country. And 18 months down the line, you are still referring me to Cecilia Dapa. I am even shocked.
No, because
I am shocked. And I'm giving you the contracts that
I think you should accept that that's a fair question because you talk about a government being continuous. If a government is continuous, then one starts, the other continues. And that's why I asked you the question that all these things that she was supposed to have championed, what was left of it for the government now to continue? That's a fair question.
And I gave you a simple answer by the Accra Sanitary Sewer and Stormwater Drainage, signed by President Dramani Mahama in May 2016, which was commenced by Akufo-Addo. Isn't that a fair example?
The constitution.
Through that contract, we managed to dredge the channel from Odell Confluence from Caprice, Aveno, Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, and Abublushi. Yes, there is still much to be done. I am not saying that we did all. Obviously, we had our faults. But to blame the MPP and the Akufo-Addo government for your incompetence will not be accepted.
The Constitution talks about freedom of association and religion. In as much as the president in recent times has talked about releasing funds and the need to do ABCD, you do not think that he had a right to also be practicing his religion, although the country is currently facing a crisis?
In all humility, I think it was the right thing at the wrong time.
Please.
What would have been good was to declare a day of mourning. We are all equal in the sight of God. When 6 people died, we declared a week of mourning. 37 has died, and we are singing there shall be showers of blessings.
Please, I want to get your thoughts before I come to you because he hasn't spoken, please.
Okay, on the National Day of Thanksgiving or generally?
Or generally, plus the comment, I realized I didn't even get your thoughts on Francis Asenso Boache. It's not important about the Thanksgiving. I think I drew his attention because of his comment earlier. Yeah. So what Asenso Boache said and what the two gentlemen have said so far.
I think Honorable Asenso Boache made some very good points. And one of the ones that I picked was about the issue with decentralization. So I think
please, I'll come to you. Please make your point.
I think he said all the right things. They did their best during their time, even though I think it was woefully inadequate to an extent. Because one of the reasons from my research that the funds were frozen was because of what the Bank of Ghana termed moderately unsatisfactory.
Yes.
So, I mean, the World Bank.
Because they release it based on your performance.
Exactly. And their performance was moderately unsatisfactory. So, when it comes to nobody is politicizing it. The one who provided the funds, who has no interest in our politics, is only trying to help us, says that what they were doing was moderately unsatisfactory. And I also said that with the NDC coming so far, only $13.5 million sourced so far, they have also not done well. So I think that both have not done well. But I would want to concentrate on what to do going forward. And if you look at research, the countries who have successfully managed floods, Netherlands, Japan, Singapore, China, it's a combination of engineering and nature.
And I saw the visuals, the pictures from Singapore, 1960 something to 80 plus.
Exactly. It's a combination of engineering and nature. But we are so, let me say, obsessed with the engineering part. Drains, drains, drains. What about the green spaces? China has what you call the sponge cities program, where you have a lot of greens absorbing this water. Singapore has, they have the drains and the marina barrage, and Japan has underground discharge channels. We in Ghana, we are fortunate to have these examples that we can follow. And for the drains, we'll have it done. Now, I know people will set up 300 million Ghana cedis or 350 million Ghana has been released.
Yes.
However, what are we going to do about the greens? Are we still going to build everywhere?
Including the wetlands.
Including the wetlands. You see, the day of the rain, that was, I've forgotten, what was it?
Monday, 29th of June.
Monday, that day I went to court. I had a case at the Tama court. Everyone said, don't go. And, you know, I went through what you call hell and high water. It was a scary experience. And when I used a beach road, I used to live at Sakumono. And so I'm very familiar with the Ramsar side. I've never seen it at that level. I was blown away, and I took videos. And yet people wanted to build in those same Ramsar sites. I mean, what is this? Lastly, I saw a short piece by the president of the Friends of Rivers and Water Bodies. I think it was one Nana Jomo. I've forgotten his name. And he made some very, very good points. He made some very good points about airport residential area and some big companies building where the water is supposed to pass. Because of that drain, I use that road quite often. So we need to look at our green zones. We need to enforce it strictly. We shouldn't just build anywhere. But we know our Ghanaian system. Sometimes at the ground, sometimes you may be entitled to build somewhere, but somebody wants money to exchange hands.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are not entitled to build somewhere, but somebody will take money and let you build.
And let me say that in our submissions, please let's try and avoid personal attacks on individuals. On this note, I want to come to you, lawyer Jimega, for your reaction, because I realized you wanted to react to what Mr. Jemfi was saying.
I've always been decorous in my presentation. The issues are not personal. Definitely. Perhaps he would like to retract and apologize otherwise, so that we don't go into that. So I'm willing to give that 1 minute to him to do so. That will be good for the viewers and for ourselves here too.
So which part are you? Because I said you told us you are an engineer. And I'm saying that
he mentioned my credential, and I added it.
Yes, and I'm saying that.
Look, if you want, let's go along that line. Okay, let's go along that line.
But if I say something that you are not happy with it from my heart, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. You see, because these programs a lot of people watch it all over the world, and you are receiving messages from across the world about some of these things, and they don't. But the most important thing I want to talk about here is that you were right. In a certain year, Cecilia Dapa was giving $150 million. And we have seen this. You see, you can in one way say the governance is continuum, so we shouldn't, then in another way you say that we shouldn't remind you of what you have done and your record. That cannot be. But let me end by saying that my brother here, I think that next time we appear, or whoever you appear with, don't personalize things. The individuals are only representing parties. I went to look at your Twitter handle to check whether you are an engineer, as you said. And the Twitter handle mentions all the things you have without the engineering. So yet you are here chastising somebody. So you see,
then I take my apology back.
I think if we are agreeing that we are not going on personal attacks, then we should stick to it.
So we can leave it that way. But in any case, I want to assure Ghanaians that His Excellency the President is on top of issues. This flooding is something that has touched his heart. He has dedicated a team to handle this. And indeed, he has made sure that he's at the forefront of making sure funds are released, NADMO is being resourced, and it is not only in Accra. Unfortunately, parts of Tema, parts of Ashaiman, all have borne the brunt of the flooding. So I don't think the president is sleeping over this. He hasn't closed his eye. It is not about incompetence of the president. My brother here has said that there have been years of, there have been projections about...
Go ahead.
Yes, he said it's because of incompetence of the president. And I'm saying it's not about incompetence. The president mentioned that it is, when he mentioned that we have severe weather conditions, my senior here has confirmed that it's an El Nino situation.
Only when NDC is in power.
Please, can you allow him to make his points, and then I'll come to you for your final word.
Indeed. I mean, NDC cannot, with all respect to Ghanaians, NDC cannot decide when El Nino happens. When Senior mentioned the years that the El Nino situation happened, who would have faulted God? And indeed, he said it. It's a force majeure by him, and it's an act of God.
Lawyer,
but that does not mean we should not be on top of things.
Lawyer, you've talked about the president's commitment to dealing with these issues. We had, on Tuesday, I had NADMO on agenda, and the Greater Accra Regional Director was still appealing for help, that they still needed help because they are still under-resourced. On Tuesday, on the same program, we had the the PRO for the fire service talking about the fact that the entire National Fire Service doesn't have a single boat. When they needed to deal with the Odona fire, on the day it rained, they had to rely on the Ghana Police Service as well as the Ghana Armed Forces for, other equipment to get them to fight the fire. Because of that, the fire that started around 7 a.m. on Monday, on the day of the flooding, they finished fighting it after 2 a.m. on Tuesday. And so, after 18 months in power, what have you done when it comes to resourcing these institutions?
No,
because you say the president is committed.
I mean, with all respect to you and with all respect to our viewers, you would have noticed that in this year's budget, retooling of the Ghana National Fire Service is on top of the agenda. And we have been told that even for the past, I think about 18 years or something, they've not received any new fire tenders, etc. So,
please make your point.
So the fire service retooling is an item on top of issues. However, let's get this clear. This is something that has happened on the flake of. Nobody has been planning for flooding situation to happen. But with the release of funds to these organizations, I believe that now NADMO is well resourced to be able to deal with the situations that we have at hand.
Do you have an idea when NADMO and Fire
I believe
Service...
that when you call them again to come back here, they would have given a different story from the Monday or Tuesday immediately after this situation. Indeed, that was when decisions were being taken. That was when assessments were being made for the government to release funds for them for their operation. So I'm not sure if you call them again today and you bring the fire service guy and you bring the NADMO spokesperson, they will give the same story. Because I know very well that a lot of resources are being released to them for them to manage the situation as we have it now.
Including getting a boat for the fire service, for instance, because they don't have a single one.
Yes, it is not only, but what you have mentioned is actually means that there's collaboration between our services. If the Marine Police has a boat and you need to make use of the boat and you don't have it immediately, it is only good that you have the coordination. All these guys
but when you have it, you save the time.
Yes, you say,
I
agree. It is not only the boats that they need. You notice that in the modern times, people have smaller, it's like a drone, but not a drone as such, that are used to fight fire in taller buildings. Those are some of the things that will be procured for fire service. So I believe that this is a wake-up call. The funds that were allocated for fire service in the budget will soon be released, and they will use it for their work.
So I want to perhaps get your final word on this. We're hoping that we'll still be able to get in touch with the NADMO official who is supposed to be with us, just so he brings us an update on what is happening. But let me get your final thoughts on this before we finish.
Well, I suppose we've dealt with the governance aspects. We know what has to be done, and we hope the government does it. However, on the personal level, a lot of people have lost a lot. I heard of a nurse losing a laptop, phones, people have lost clothes. So I think as Ghanaians, if you have anything to offer the 38,000 displaced who've lost, find a way to get to them. And I think we should all be our brother's keeper, and we'll have a better Ghana going forward.
Mr. Jemfi, your final word.
My final word is that since my brother decided to fact check me, you should go to KNUST Electrical Engineering cohort in 2000 and graduated in 2007. It is, if you check, it is HM Forces. It means I was an engineer in the British Army for 7.5 years. Thank you. Now, you said that President NPP didn't do anything for fire service. This is also wrong. TV3.
I never said that NPP never did anything for fire service. I never said that.
TV3 made a report.
If we want to get
national
into
service
it,
by
for example,
procuring hydraulic
when there was
platforms.
COVID, who built the hospital?
Please, let him finish. I'll give you 30 seconds as well, because I'm taking final words of issue.
So
Okay,
the final words on this issue is that, Mr. President, act. You've blamed the people of this country. We've accepted. You've blamed God for causing climate change, ozone layer. We've accepted. Now it is your turn to accept your responsibility and act as a leader. Stop the blame game and act now. Like our lives depend on it, because they do.
And I want to say a big thank you to Pamoni
You told me 30
Clothing.
seconds.
Okay, so you have about 15 seconds.
Yes, the 15 seconds I have is that I never said MPP never did anything for itself. All I'm trying to say is that when there was COVID and the hospitals were built, who built them? They were built under
I want to
by
say a big
President
thank
Mahama.
you to Pamoni Clothing in East Legon in Accra
Hospital
for
and
my
COVID were built by
costume
President
this
Mahama.
morning. The big issue is sponsored by the University of Gold Coast. Now, whether you're aiming for a specialist MBA in marketing, communication, operations, supply chain, human resource management, finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, or business intelligence analytics, or you want to advance through a dual MBA or chartered manager MBA, University of Gold Coast gives you options that match your vision. And if your next step is an MSc in international relations, communication, international marketing, international law, security diplomacy, accounting, finance, or human resource management, an LLM in international law, security diplomacy, or an MA in biblical studies in practical theology, the pathway is open. Apply today, because at University of Gold Coast, we make it practical, flexible learning, flexible entry, and flexible payment. Study around your work and life. Choose a route that fits your background and pay in convenient installment. Your dream deserves structure, your future deserves strategy, and of course your purpose deserves training. Apply today on www.ugc.edu.gh. You can call or WhatsApp on 026-388-8555. University of Gold Coast, building leaders for the nations. Stay with us. When we come back on New Day, we'll bring you some more.
Hello, my name is Pamela from